In the 21st century, the word diversity has gained significant traction. Businesses, nonprofits, governments, and international organizations flaunt it as one of their most prized values. Leaders across industries deliver inspiring speeches and make repeated commitments to upholding diversity. For example, the CEO Action for Diversity and Inclusion, the world's largest business-led initiative to advance DEIB in the workplace, with pledges from some 2,500 CEOs. And diversity has trickled into political rhetoric that unites or polarizes groups of people globally. As a result, understanding diversity is central to our exploration of bias. Before proceeding further, in your journal, define diversity in your own words. I've spent decades exploring, discussing, teaching, and studying diversity, and have noticed that every person understands it differently, describes it differently, and feels differently about it. This makes sense because no two people, including identical twins, share the same lived experiences. However, to understand bias, we all need a common framework to understand human diversity. I define human diversity as the authentic representations and expressions of humanity. Diversity is who we are as a species, and it is who each one of us is as an individual member of our species. As a species, we encompass many nationalities, ethnicities, genders, cultures, religions, professions, and political and economic views. And as an individual, you hold a diversity of identities that span those categories and many more, in addition to the roles and functions you serve in your family, workplace, and community. Our human diversity is the landscape that triggers bias in our thoughts, words, and behaviors. In this chapter, I will introduce you to my human diversity framework and familiarize you with important concepts that become the basis of bias. What humans share across our diversity. In recent times, there has been an increased awareness of historically marginalized human identities, from lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, aromantic, non-binary, two-spirit, and questioning folks, who I will refer to as queer and gender diverse or LGBTQ+ people, to the spectrums of neurodivergent and disabled peoples, to religious, ethnic, and indigenous communities, such as the First Nations peoples, Yazidis, Baha'i, Sami, and Orang Asli. This increased awareness of human diversity is beautiful because it reveals to each one of us that people and our cultures are not a homogeneous monolith, never have been and never will be. Humans have always and will continue to define, redefine, and create new ways of naming and organizing our humanness. Practically speaking, however, as humans, we cannot possibly stay mindful of the vast spectrums of human diversity all the time. Scientists say that as humans, we can only stay aware of 3 to 5 discrete ideas in our minds at a time. So how do we reconcile our diversities without feeling victimized by others who may not acknowledge aspects of our beingness that matter to us? And how do we go about in the world relating to other humans in the fullness of their diversity? My mind used to get caught in these questions as I began my healing process from suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. On the one hand, I was grateful to be alive. On the other hand, I walked around feeling victimized for being gay, for being a person of color, and for my many marginalized identities. I sought validation for my existence from outside of me, and when those around me made comments that didn't acknowledge my understanding of my history, culture, beliefs, and identity, I felt angry and diminished. My mind was vigilant all the time, in hyper-judgment mode. Just around that time, Lisa, a law school classmate, invited me to go to a yoga class with her.